Good morning, everyone. Time to get this very exciting morning started. Will our students please enter? Okay, graduates, have a seat, please. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Kathleen Gallo, and I am the founding dean for the Hofstra Northwell School of Nursing and Physician Assistants, as well as an executive in residence at Northwell Health. I would like to welcome all of you to the Convocation for the class of 2023. And they are graduating from the following programs. Graduation will take place on Sunday. The Doctorate in Nursing Practice, the Masters of Science in Cardiovascular Sciences and Perfusion Medicine, Master of Science in Nursing in the following programs: Adult Gerontology, Acute Care Nurse Practitioner, Family Nurse Practitioner, and Psychiatric Mental Health Practitioner, and Advanced Certificates in Adult Gero, Acute Care Nurse Practitioner, and Family Practitioner. So we have a lot of clinicians coming out of the gate to care for our communities. This is our 6th convocation, and it is an extraordinary celebration. I use the term extraordinary because our students are just that, extraordinary. And I will share with you why I think they're extraordinary a little later in the program. But first, I'd like to thank our president of Hofstra University, Susan Poser, and our senior vice president and provost, Charlie Reardon, who is sitting here, for their ongoing support and commitment of our school, and of course the President and CEO of Northwell Health, Michael Dowling, for his vision and ongoing commitment and support. So I'm now going to introduce my friend and colleague, the Medical Director for the Masters of Science in Cardiovascular Sciences and Perfusion Medicine program, Dr. Frank Mineta. Dr. Mineta is a professor of cardiovascular and thoracic surgery at the Donald and Barbara Zucker School of Medicine at Hofstra Northwell. He serves as the surgical director for Northwell Health's acute lung injury program, as well as the program director of the integrated thoracic surgery residency at Northwell. He's been active in perfusion education and served as an instructor for perfusion education at the Long Island University Perfusion Training Program prior to becoming the first medical director for the cardiovascular and perfusion program here at Hofstra Northwell. He also serves as the physician representative for the Perfusion Committee of the New York State Department of Education. He's an outstanding physician, surgeon, teacher, and mentor to perfusion students, medical students, residents, and other healthcare professionals. Dr. Mineta is passionate about teaching, has been recognized for those efforts by receiving such awards and honors as the Silver Scalpel Award for Best Surgical Teaching Resident, the Teacher of the Year in Cardiac Thoracic Surgery at Northwell Health, as well as inducted into Alpha Omega Alpha in 1999 for teaching, and inducted into the Academy of Medical Educators at Northwell. He is a native Long Islander, received his BS in Nutritional Biochem at Cornell University in 1985. He completed medical school at the Medical College of Pennsylvania in 1994 and began his general surgical residency at the Albany Medical Center and completed his thoracic surgery residency at the Long Island Jewish Medical Center in 2001. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Mineta.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, no, good. Okay, I don't speak too loudly sometimes, so just yell at me, it's fine. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Gallo. Happy birthday, Dr. Gallo. So 5 or 10 minutes is all I'm asking for your time. And what I want you to do is understand, how can we change the world in 5 or 10 minutes? So about 7 years ago, I think about 2017, 2018, the perfusion school was at Long Island University, and there was some talk and changes. And I was called into Dr. Alan Hartman's office, and I think Ed Delaney and Joe Greco were there, and like, we would like you to be the medical director of the perfusion school. And I'm like, okay. How did this come about? So we sat down there and talked, and I had done teaching before. I worked with perfusion students. I'm actively involved in teaching. I had some administrative ability over the years, and I said, yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll try. We'll try if we build something new. And in 2018, we started our first class, and this is our 4th class now. I think we have close to 50 students who we graduated. And I believe in the product we create, because about 6 or 8 of them now with an assistant, and they pump my cases. So I'm an open heart surgeon, and we basically stop the heart, and there's a little machine on the back that whirls with lots of pumps and back and forth, and these students right here, both the students and the graduates, are basically in charge of that person's life. They're responsible for the heart, and they're responsible for the lungs. And when you think about it, in 2 years, we've had people just come out of college, some people had no medical background, and we took these people here and trained them and entrusted them to perform that. And it was not without the vision of Dr. Gallo, Dr. McLeod, and everybody else here supporting that, okay? And there's lots of people supporting that. Lauren Pierlo is the coordinator called the Den Mom. She keeps everything together. Ed and Joe, they run the show day by day, and I'll pop my head back and forth and try to give myself, my 2 bits of information of how to make things better. But the one point that I want to bring about there is, if you have the chance to do something, is to build something. And we built something that wasn't there before. We created something great. And it required a lot of work. But we did not go out to sit down and start doing that. We were just talking to Dr. Gallo today, and we realized that a lot of the things that happened to us, we said yes to. Okay, we were given the chance to build something. And they may have seemed small at the time, inconsequential, but these changes, these small incremental changes over time can lead to something big. And what I will challenge you to do, and this is everybody, when they come across there, is to build something. Okay, build a bridge, help someone next to you, do something good. Okay, it will come back to you over time, and it will make a difference. So instead of tearing down walls, build bridges and make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mineta. So now I would like to welcome Carmeli Shastri up to the stage. She will speak on behalf of the class.
Good morning, everyone, and the class of 2023. Thank you, Dr. Mineta, for the generous keynote address. My name is Carmeli Shastri, and it is truly an honor to speak before all of the faculty, staff, classmates, fellow graduates, and families here today. Although I think the original plan was for the Backstreet Boys to perform, instead of me speaking, they were only going to tell you it's nothing but a heartache. So a cardiac perfusion graduate probably would touch more hearts of the audience. Before I begin, I would like to thank my classmates for allowing me to represent them, and our family and friends that have been our support system through this arduous journey. In addition, I would like to thank our support system of our family and our professors, guest speakers, and last but not least, our program directors, Ed Delaney and Joe Greco, for their continuous dedication to providing the foundation for an enriching learning experience these past 2 years. To Lauren, our course coordinator, I thank you for providing an environment conducive to not only gaining knowledge, but also to advance our careers through various networking opportunities. And to our preceptors at various clinical sites, thank you for allowing us to practice our clinical skills while simultaneously providing a safe and enriching environment to do so in. Although we sit here in our identical gowns, representative of our unity in this educational journey, each of us have walked our own path with personal hardships to reach the point we are at today. And now that we have finally made it and have a minute to reflect on our accomplishments amongst personal trials and tribulations, I could not be happier to be surrounded by such incredible classmates that have been there for each other regardless of individual obstacles, ultimately becoming my second family. I can still vividly think back to the first time meeting my peers at our initial potluck, just a couple days prior to our first day of the program. As we sat around with a circle with our plates of food, introducing ourselves with some extended awkward silences, we sat there with the unsettling feeling of mixed emotions about the new journey we were about to embark on. Besides that, some of us did leave that day with the multiple battle wounds of mosquitoes trying to sequester autologous blood from us. Yet in those moments of uncertainty, I always tried to summon the courage to not succumb to imposter syndrome, as I would continuously remind myself that this was the opportunity I knew I was destined to follow. Finding yourself in uncharted territory can cause a mindset shift that leads to a trail of doubting your own worth and capabilities. To overcome these intrusive feelings, it is important to let go of your inner perfectionism, separate feelings from facts, and tackle each day with a positive mindset. I believe that our class showed true courage by keeping grace under pressure, and for that, I am proud of us all. Each of us has our own story and reason that encouraged us to become cardiac perfusionists. And for me, that started at the young age of 10. Although at that time, my only interests were playing Wii Sports and trying to increase my tennis skill level, I've always had insatiable curiosity. When you allow yourself to have free curiosity, you stimulate greater learning and lead yourself down a road that is less traveled. And so, I let curiosity work its magic as I became increasingly observant of one specific person in my life, my dad. He is the inspiration and reason for why I am standing before you all. From my earliest memories, I stand here reminiscing about him taking me along with him to the campus bookstore as he picked up his towering stack of hefty textbooks. It was perplexing the amount of time he dedicated to studying these very books for what seemed like an eternity of endless nights. And as he would go off to work or school or clinicals during the day, I would peruse through one of the idle books, becoming enchanted by the diagrams and images. I still remember perusing through the pages of jumbled medical jargon, only able to comprehend the basics. As I grew older and entered high school, I had the privilege of experiencing a life-changing opportunity, shadowing in the cardiac operating room. As I stood at the head of the table, there was a rush of excitement and sensory overload. It was mesmerizing to watch the cardiac surgeon and surgical PA dissect their way into the chest with so much grace under intense pressure. As the surgeon slowly cut away the fibrous sac of pericardium, encapsulating the heart, I stared in amazement, watching the heart tirelessly contract. That really brought the term lub-dub to life. Eventually, I transitioned myself behind the heart-lung machine. Looking at the heart-lung machine for the first time, I was immediately struck by confusion. Trying to wrap my head around this alien apparatus of tubes, looking like organizational chaos, along with the numerous monitors. It was very intimidating to look at and comprehend, even if my dad gave me a SparkNotes version of the basics. But to watch the cardiac perfusionist harmoniously moving from one task to the next, with a clamp always in his hand, ready for the unexpected at all times, truly was incredible. As I left that day, I was overcome with a feeling of fullness and a somewhat indescribable feeling that eventually manifested as my professional calling. And fast forward to May 19th, 2023, my classmates and I stand here on the verge of graduating from the Hofstra Cardioscience and Perfusion Medicine program and becoming cardiac perfusionists across a multitude of hospitals. Throughout these last 21 months, the rigorous coursework of both didactic and clinicals has provided a fundamental stepping stone for our future paths as we prepare ourselves for a new beginning when we leave this room. The integration of low fidelity, high fidelity simulation, virtual education modalities, and clinical lab practice within the classroom allowed us to develop skills that would put us a step ahead when it came to clinical application of the heart-lung machine. Additionally, having the opportunity to explore diverse clinical sites and gaining exposure to a multitude of cardiac cases, such as complex aortic surgery, pediatric perfusion for complex congenital and acquired heart disease, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, or ECMO, ventricular assist devices, and many others is something to be grateful for. As we reflect on our time at Hofstra University, what resonates most are the friendships made. With our class being a total of 12, it allowed us to truly get to know one another because we weren't sitting in a sea of students drifting among the masses. We were sitting with our colleagues, the same group of people in every single class that understood exactly what we were going through. In the stressful moments, we supported each other. But most times, besides study groups and Zoom sessions, we turned to food therapy to nourish our souls and bodies. In the triumphant moments, we enjoyed each other's company, either exchanging gifts at Secret Santa or going out to eat to celebrate our successes after exams, even if that meant discussing and dissecting every question of the exam in order to relax. Along the same lines, we developed a close relationship with our professors and directors of the program. Each of them tirelessly gave us the time and attention to enrich our learning, serving as remarkable role models and a support system when things were tough. And trust me, each of us had our tough moments. But when you are surrounded by such amazing and uplifting people each day, any challenge to overcome becomes easier. The tough times never last, but tough people do. And I'm thankful for all the individuals in my life for this needed reminder. Breslin Hall, room 25, was where it all started, where we had several of our classes confined within those walls, the place where we were always welcomed by amazing snacks and food brought by our classmates. At the end of the day, even if we don't have that classroom to bring us together anymore, we have now created lifelong connections that we will always carry the fond memories we had. And here we stand today, celebrating all of our hard work that has led to this moment. We have studied day and night, taken countless exams, laughed and enjoyed each other's company in and outside the classroom, and maybe a couple crying episodes behind closed doors. And although this may seem like an ending, we know it is actually an exciting and somewhat terrifying beginning. Unlike a book, we are not able to skip through the pages of life to foresee what the future will bring us. Each of our books is being written each day as we have our peaks and our downfalls. Just like in EKG, we need those peaks and downfalls. Otherwise, a straight, smooth sailing line means we aren't living. What we do know is that we have all been given the paper and ink we need to write our beautiful stories. And I'm sure they will be some great bestsellers at your local Barnes & Noble. Although we may forget some of what we learned here, such as calculating a standardized Z-score, never forget that flow is king, and NEO is a selective alpha-1 adrenergic agonist with a half-life less than 5 minutes that causes vasoconstriction primarily in the arterioles. Thank you, and congratulations again to the class of 2023 graduates.
Thank you, Carmeli, and we're so glad that you visited that operative suite as a child and you became who you are today. So now I'd like to bring up one of the program directors, Professor Ed Delaney, to present the Perfusion Pride Award.
Hey, good morning, everybody. So when Joe and I decided on what awards we were going to do for the program, one of the things we had talked about is what kind of makes a good perfusionist, what kind of perfusionist that we want to put out. When we were building the program, we thought about entailing how we want the perfusionist. We wanted a modern day apprenticeship. And in order to get through that apprenticeship, you were going to need to have good academics. You were going to have the ability to critically solve problems. You were going to have to work really hard. You were going to have to be able to think under pressure, under stress. And then we came up with the Pride Award. We liked the idea of the Pride Award because as the Lions and Lionesses up there are going in the same direction, and they're truly creating a network, and this is your network that you're going to have throughout your future, including Joe, myself, Dr. Mineta, the people in the program that you met. The other part that we really liked through the program is the grind, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that when I go over some slides in a little bit, but countless hours and hours and repetition that went into creating the perfusionist that you see before you today. When we look at what we wanted this award to be, like I said, academics, hard work, everybody in the class could have received this award, so how do you set it aside? And how do you pick the person to get the award? What we look at is the person who says yes to opportunity. They say yes to going above and beyond. They say yes when I ask them to do something at the 11th hour. And for this award this year, and the students don't know who are getting the awards, by the way. We kind of surprised them. So it's going to be Mary DeCapua. And the reason that Mary's going to get the award is she went out and sought out a mission trip rotation for herself with Maimonides Hospital. She went to Guyana. And then after that, she presented on it at the New York State Society of Perfusion at the School of Medicine when we had the entire state here. In addition to that, she wrote an article for the American Academy of Cardiovascular Perfusion. As I talked to each of her instructors, preceptors, people she worked with, Mary received accolade after accolade and just positive reinforcement and praise from everybody that she connected with. So without further ado, Mary. You have to come up and get it. Now, and you see by that picture, not many cardiac surgeons would break scrub to take that picture. So now Dr. Gallo is going to do the Dean's presentation.
So it's my honor to present the Dean's Award to Jack Driscoll. So Jack truly excelled in academics within the CSPM program. His overall work was exemplary. He displayed excellence in each task, day in and day out throughout the program. The quality of his work, dedication to learning, and positive attitude truly represented the best of what Hofstra Northwell has to offer. Jack is truly one of our pride. Feedback at each clinical was to the higher standard of all the rubrics. The feedback included both written and personal calls to the program directors. We look forward to watching Jack's perfusion journey as he continues to represent the best of what Hofstra Northwell has to offer. Congratulations, Jack.
Thank you so much.
Go over there.
Yeah, so they are surprised. We don't tell them. So I'm going to go through some slides. We're going to announce the class. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple of pictures that kind of goes over what kind of goes into the program kind of behind the scenes and what all of us build here today. And that's Dr. Mineta, the deans, Dr. Gallo, Dr. McLeod, myself, Lauren. Nothing gets done without Lauren, believe me. She is a godsend to me. Professor Greco, the preceptors, the clinical coordinators, and on both sides of the aisle, the Hofstra and Northwell administration that supported us and helped us build this program. So I want to start by taking a look at that number. Over 25,000 clinical hours were performed by these students. That is an astronomical amount of time in the operating room. 1,704 bypass cases were pumped by them. That's 1,704 patients that were affected in the New York State area. That they've made positive changes to their families, mothers, fathers, grandparents, kids, that they gave them back more time with each of their family members. I'll wait for them to come around. I always have them give me a picture and do kind of a quote that kind of sums up their experience throughout the program. So the first graduate, Nick Centrone. Next, Cameron Chamberlain. Sabino Curcio. Mary DeCapua. Jack Driscoll. Hannah Fang. Chris McAlpin. Cormali Shastri. Desiree Shields. John Silverio. And Helen Sun. So when I talk about a modern day apprenticeship, what we do with the students is we set up opportunities for them throughout the 21 months. And that takes a lot of hard work, liaison with preceptors, different clinical sites, experts across the country. So this year what we did with them, or in the last 2 years what we did with them, was we had them participate in the New York State Society of Perfusion, where they actually gave presentations. The case studies were done with local perfusionists. But they themselves put all the hard work into that. So Carmali mentioned low fidelity, high fidelity, but what we also have in addition to that is we have a bioskills center. So we set up opportunities where there's circuit building, where we're taking the didactic knowledge, we're applying it to the actual circuit building, and then we're applying it to the patient themselves in the operating room. So we go from low fidelity, we go to high fidelity, and what we do is Dr. Mineta brings them into bioskills, and they are working with residents from the anesthesia group, the surgical group, and working on the cadavers. When we talk about unbreakable bonds, that truly is a network that you saw before you. They'll reach out to those fellow students over the next 20 years of their career. They'll reach out to their preceptors that they worked with. They'll reach out to the alumni that helped them in the program. Those unbreakable bonds, I know my bonds that I've made with perfusionists over the years still hold true. I call them monthly, weekly, whenever I need things. I'm really proud of this picture. These are our alumni with the students. As they go out, the Hofstra alumni are now training the Hofstra students. So we're really excited about that, and we're excited for the opportunity of each of you to start training the next group of students. Some of it really hit and was surreal around 1 o'clock last night when I got called into the operating room. And I thought to myself that in the future I won't be doing this, it'll be you. So. It's just a picture of hands-on training with the heart lab. Dr. Mineta does a really great job sequestering hearts, pig hearts, where they can sew valves in, learn the anatomy. It's some of the stuff that we built into the program. There's our collaborative classrooms, kind of a little kidding around, a little bit of learning. And then just reps, getting that muscle memory down. And then finally, the end product is they're in the pilot seat and they're working on your family members. And then this is where some of the students are going for this year's class. So not only do we serve the New York metropolitan area, we also serve across the country. We're one of 20 schools right now. They will be going out into the workforce of 4,300 perfusionists in the US and Canada. There are 212 in New York State, and most hospitals have anywhere from 2, some larger ones have upwards of 15. And then this slide, I love doing this because what you see here is the preceptors that sit with the students. And these are the 2 preceptors that had the most cases with students and the 2 surgeons that had the most cases with students. Some of that is sheer volume, but in order to have the students there on a daily basis, it takes a certain mentorship and mentality and wanting to put out quality students. So my thank you to them. And just congratulations, class of 2023.
Thank you, Ed. So it is now my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Julius Johnson. Dr. Johnson is the director of the Family Nurse Practitioner Program and an assistant professor at the Long Island University Brooklyn campus, teaching both graduate and undergraduate programs. He teaches pharmacology and advanced pharmacology, as well as diagnosis and management for advanced practice nurses. He chairs the School of Nursing's Honor Society, as well as the Interprofessional Education Committee throughout the various healthcare professional schools on campus. He specializes in the home-based primary, high-intensity transitional care interventions and medical marijuana. He has worked on several projects with safety net hospitals working toward reducing hospital readmission reduction program fines. He currently also is the founder and CEO of Premium Health Depot, an NP in Family Health PLC, as well as the president of drnurses.com. His motto is, "Children cannot grow up to be what they cannot see." Therefore, he spends a large amount of time serving various communities throughout New York City, conducting naloxone trainings, coaching youth tackle football, mentoring, career day panels, and giving motivational speeches. Dr. Johnson received his bachelor's and master's degrees of science in nursing from Binghamton University and his Doctor of Nursing Practice from the University of Miami. Dr. Johnson?
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try that again because I believe in putting out the type of energy you want to receive. And I also believe that we're here at a graduation, right? So, good morning, everybody. All right. Graduation is a very, very joyous time. And I need a lot of y'all to turn up your energy, as we would say in New York City, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, unless you plan on doing this whole program all over again to graduate. So many of you, and especially the nurse practitioners that are graduating, a lot of you are going to feel lost, a lot of you are going to feel what they call the imposter syndrome once you graduate. When you graduate as an advanced practice nurse, and especially a nurse practitioner, you don't have the luxury that sometimes you have when you become a staff nurse, which is going into a group of other nurses. You graduate, and a lot of times you're on your own practicing as a solo provider, and it can be extremely scary. I remember when I first graduated from Binghamton University, and I came back down to New York City, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna open up my own business right now. And then I realized I should have paid more attention in professional role class, because that wasn't gonna happen right away. And it was in the middle of an economic downturn for New York, well, for the entire country. And the only job I could find at the time was doing home-based primary care. And as I started to do the job, the first day on the job, literally, my orientation was I walked in to the office and they said, hey, you're Julius Johnson, you're the new family nurse practitioner? I said, yes. They said, okay, who? Care. Cool. Here goes a list of patients. Go see them and let me know how you do when you get back tomorrow. That was the entire orientation program as a new graduate. That was Monday. On the Friday, I had to go into a clinic, and I was supposed to shadow a physician and a nurse practitioner. I got there on Friday and realized both of them had called out. So I was even more upset that I didn't get the memo to also call out. So I had to run an entire practice on that day without knowing the electronic health records. Let's just say I was nobody's favorite provider that day. But I share all this to tell you is that no matter where you start, you can always end up here, right? I was somebody who, I was in nursing school. I could not only concentrate on school, so I had to work and do other jobs. So nursing school was hard, not because of the content, but because of the lack of time I had. And then doing my master's, I also had to work. I was upstate at Binghamton going to school, and I would drive home to New York City every weekend to work for VNS to get paid. So master's was hard. And when I became a nurse practitioner, there was a lot of, so what are you gonna do now? What does a nurse practitioner do? And I heard the same thing when I graduated with my doctor of nursing practice. What are you gonna do now? What does somebody with a doctor of nursing practice do? And I wish I knew the same then that I do now, because my response would have been, hold my cup and just watch and see. And I say that because after graduating from my Doctor of Nursing Practice program, I went on to become a professor, then become an associate professor, then become a chair to run a practice, to run COVID-19 vaccine clinics, to do trainings, to do Zoom calls, to build teams, to join nursing associations. And I wish I had somebody back then to tell me what I know now, which is when somebody asks you what you're going to be as a nurse practitioner, tell them whatever you want to be, that's what you're going to do. The sky is the limit. There's so many different areas of nursing that you can go into. You do not have to feel pigeonholed into one area. If you feel bored, if you feel tired, if you feel stressed, get up and go into another practice of nursing. Do not let anybody steal this moment right here from you, which is your pride and joy of being a nurse practitioner. Does that make sense? So, two things I'm gonna do for you before I leave, because I know you are ready to walk across the stage, right? Before I give you those two things, I want you to, one, promise me that when y'all come up across the stage, you're gonna celebrate. Because I guarantee you, as you walk across the stage, you have family members who either didn't know you were gonna make it, family members, family members who couldn't wait for you to make it. And for some of you, you have little children looking up to you that don't understand this moment, but it's going to mean the world to them. So make sure you celebrate and don't be ashamed of it. I had a grandmother at my bachelor's, so my grandmother was a Southern Christian woman, and they didn't just clap. She did what we call a shuffle, right? So if you ever been to church and they start celebrating and they start shuffling around side to side, that's what my grandmother did as I walked across the stage. So I want you all to celebrate. So the two things I'm going to leave you with. First, one, can all the graduates please stand up and face your family members? Now, normally at graduations, the family cheers the graduate, but as graduates, I want you to give your family members a round of applause because you are somebody's answered prayer. All right, you can sit down now. I also just needed a break to drink some water. And the last thing I'm gonna share with you is, it is a saying that I have recently come across and I have really stuck to it and I really like it. The saying is that children often grow up to be what they needed as kids. So if you had a child that felt abandoned, a child that didn't feel love, a lot of time that child grows up to be somebody that gives a lot of love, does not never want to see anybody abandoned. Going through nursing school is like being a child again. Some of you probably loved your professors. Some of you probably couldn't stand your professors. I won't tell, we're all a family. And what I need each of you to do is, when you grow up to be experienced nurse practitioners, and hopefully all of you get your terminal degree in nursing, I need you to become that professor, that nurse practitioner that you needed when you was in nursing school. And make sure that's how you take care of your patients, make sure that's how you take care of students, and also, most importantly, make sure that's how you rep Hofstra University with that amount of pride. Thank you for having me. Enjoy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. But I will add something. Before we started, I had asked him, of course, this great garb he has on is from the University of Miami. So I said to him, what made you go to the University of Miami? He goes, well, I only went down there because of the sports teams. And he actually told them that when he was interviewed by them. He goes, look, I have to be honest with you, it's not about the research or the program, but I just love the sports teams down here, and they took you in. Thank goodness. Okay, so the nursing class was given the opportunity to vote on a member of their cohort to represent them and say a few words, and the class nominated Michael Allenoy. So Mike, you want to come up?
Well, I'd like to thank Dean Gallo for the introduction. Appreciate it. First off, I'd like to welcome faculty, staff, fellow graduates, as well as their family and guests. For those who don't know me, my name's Michael. Before we begin, I'd like to take this moment for faculty and guests alike, and graduates, to recognize the class of 2023 and give everyone a round of applause. I'm honored to have the opportunity to address you all and deliver a commencement speech to such an outstanding class of nurse practitioners and cardiovascular perfusionists. I feel especially grateful to be nominated by my peers to speak in front of you all today. Hopefully the speech that ChatGPT generated is a good one. All jokes aside, I feel privileged to speak with you all today and celebrate the accomplishments of our class. When I was presented with the responsibility of writing a commencement speech, I wasn't sure where to start. While the school prepared us to take on new roles as clinicians, speech writing was not part of our curriculum. But after some consideration, I realized I should approach this like I did any other PEARLS case. For those unfamiliar, PEARLS is an acronym which means Patient-Centered Explorations in Active Reasoning, Learning, and Synthesis. PEARLS is the foundational pedagogy of the School of Nursing during our first year of study. Preparing for a PEARLS case often involved thorough research through multiple sources. Following this approach, I started my research for the speech by reading articles from the National Institute of Health with titles like Learning from Yellowstone, Commencement Address to Philadelphia University Physician Assistants Graduating Class, and even one titled 10 Suggestions for a Successful Commencement Speech. I watched YouTube videos of other commencement speakers like Steve Jobs and Taylor Swift, hoping I'd be inspired, maybe find a stylistic approach. And after many hours, when I still found myself a little bit lost, I consulted Wikipedia. Just like when I was trying to understand drug chirality and enantiomers during our first semester. Also, please don't tell Dr. Casera that I used Wikipedia for PEARLS. The Wikipedia entry for commencement speech is short, but it contains a paragraph which reads as follows. Despite meaning beginning, commencement may be mistaken to mean ending due to its association with the end of one's studies. Its usage originated with students finishing their studies and being awarded a degree, thus commencing as bachelor's or master's in a subject and enjoying new privileges within academia. Starting today, our graduating class will also enjoy new privileges in the same manner, both in the literal sense of being granted medical privileges, but also in the privileges to be a clinician and provide care for individuals that makes an impact on their lives. But before we take on that responsibility and walk across the stage today, I'd like to reflect on our shared journey. Our journey to graduation began nearly 1,000 days ago, on September 3rd, 2020. We sat nervously in front of our computer screens, seeing a flurry of names stream by in the Zoom chat as we signed in for our first day of PEARLS. For some of us, this was the first time back to school in years. And certainly for many of us, it was our first time learning virtually. Little did we know, we'd be developing communication skills and learning a new shared vocabulary with phrases like, can everyone see my screen? As well as, we can't hear you, you're muted. You have to click the mute button. On Zoom, we would dive into case study after case study, developing our learning objectives, or what we would call LOs. We'd spend late nights and weekends poring over textbooks, journal articles, and Ninja Nerd videos, hoping to learn as much as we could before the next class. Every Thursday morning, our small groups would convene, and we discuss our findings with one another and present our triggers. For those unfamiliar with what a trigger is, and to paraphrase Dr. Casera, a trigger is a higher order question, one which pushes the student beyond simply answering a question, thereby promoting critical thinking and analysis. Even now, I'm sure I'm not the only student for whom the thought of developing a trigger is triggering in and of itself. We spent that first semester agonizing over adrenergic and muscarinic receptors, conjugated and unconjugated bilirubin, left shifts and right shifts, afferent and efferent arterioles, and both the Starling curve and the Starling equation. We learned how to propose differences and similarities, and most importantly, how to justify our answers on our short answer exams. As time went on, our classes moved offline, and we were able to learn from one another in the classroom. We practiced advanced physical exam skills with one another and really began to perfect our triggers. As we breezed through more PEARLS cases, we began to develop the strong bonds and friendships which would support us through our educational journey to today. As we ended our first year of studies, we all started to go our separate ways into our own specialty tracks. The adult gero acute care nurse practitioners, the family health nurse practitioners, and the psychiatric and mental health nurse practitioners. We faced new challenges, like balancing our clinical and work schedules, logging clinical hours and cases on Typhon, and remembering how to answer multiple choice questions again after a year of just writing like paragraph length responses. We read countless research abstracts and critiqued journal articles for having a p-value that was not statistically significant. We explored health disparities and the we explored health disparities and the impact that an individual zip code can have on their health status. We took care of simulated patients as well as living ones. And now, having accomplished all that, we're here today in the Adams Playhouse for Convocation. We all should have extraordinary pride for accomplishing so much during our studies. We accomplished all this while caring for our loved ones, managing unexpected illnesses, raising children, adopting pets, and getting married. We accomplished all this while working as registered nurses, caring for patients in emergency departments, clinics, operating rooms, intensive care units, and everywhere in between. We accomplished all of this while combating wave after wave of COVID-19, adapting to each subsequent guideline change, and nevertheless persisting, even after the daily 7 p.m. applause for essential workers was just an echo. But despite all the challenges we faced already, there will be more. For instance, the US News and World Reports notes that even before the COVID pandemic, there was a gap between the actual supply of registered nurses and the projected demand through 2030. The Association of American Medical Colleges estimates a shortage of between 37,000 to 124,000 physicians by 2034. The US Census Bureau reports that by 2030, just 7 years from now, all the baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964 will be age 65 or older. And because of the growth of that aging population, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS, predicts that national health expenditures will grow as high as $6.8 trillion by 2030. CMS also predicts that the government will share up to 48% of those spending costs due to an expected growth in Medicare enrollment. Last, but certainly not least, right now even, individuals across the healthcare spectrum are forgoing necessary medical care because they can't afford it, whether that be treatment for mental illness or daily prescription drugs. Clearly, we're gonna have our work cut out for us. Despite the challenges ahead, I know that this graduating class is different. We started this program during a time of significant stress in our profession and witnessed the strain that COVID-19 placed on the healthcare system and one another. Not only did we study health disparity, but we saw firsthand how COVID disproportionately affected people of color. Not only did we study acute respiratory distress syndrome, but we cared for patients affected by it. Sometimes we cared for those patients with the help of our colleagues from Perfusion, when a mechanical ventilator wasn't enough and ECMO, or extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, was the only remaining intervention. Not only did we study healthcare technology, but we witnessed an unanticipated rise in telehealth. And not only did we study immunology, but we also contributed to the implementation of the first FDA-approved messenger RNA vaccine. Despite all we've been through, we persisted and made it to this day with a renewed conviction for the influence and impact we can have as clinicians. And despite all the challenges facing us, I know that this graduating class is ready to take on tomorrow's challenges because in the past few years, we've been through hell and back. With all that in mind, before you walk across the stage and receive your diploma, I'd like to close by presenting one last trigger to my fellow classmates. You don't need to share your answer, but think about your response as you walk across the stage today. Compare the person you were when you started this educational journey versus the person you are now. What are some similarities and what are some differences? As usual, justify your answer. For me, when I think about differences among my fellow graduates, I see individuals who are more resilient and more empathetic. I see individuals who are more innovative and pioneering. I see individuals who are ready to inspire future learners and uplift the teams that they'll be a part of. I see nurse practitioners and cardiovascular perfusionists who are poised and ready to lead our professions and healthcare into the future. But when I think about similarities, one thing hasn't changed in 3 years. I'm still proud to call you all my peers. Thanks for your time, and congratulations again. Oh boy. I'm gonna leave.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, now it's time to present the nursing student/graduate awards and faculty awards. So will Drs. Keating, Lemp, and Professor Jansen please present the awards for your programs: acute care, family nurse practitioner, and psychiatric mental health.
So, Michael, I need you to come back up because you got the acute care award.
And in family, because we're a family, we had to have two. Nicholas Lodato and Lauren Mendelson, please come up. Sorry about that, Lauren Mendelson. Good morning. Congratulations to everybody. It is my pleasure to announce the recipient of the Psychiatric Mental Health Nurse Practitioner Award. This student represents the best of our program academically, clinically, and professionally. And the recipient is Katie Liver.
Congratulations to all the awardees. Okay, now it's my turn. The Dean's Award. So the Dean's Award goes to Jessica Tucciaroni, Jessica is an adult gero, acute care nurse practitioner, and also a sexual assault nurse examiner. She came to us well prepared for our BS to DNP program. She's conducted extensive literature and clinical research regarding improving communication among healthcare providers and between healthcare providers and patients and family members, while in didactic coursework and completing 840 clinical hours with a near-perfect GPA. She and her teammates published their systematic review on alarm fatigue. Jessica presented their work at the International Nursing Conference last month. She is also graduating on Sunday with her doctorate in nursing practice. Okay, since Michael gave us the opening for the Pearls pedagogy, let me follow up on that. Every year, we have the students vote on who the Pearls Faculty Award goes to. You know, Pearls is foundational to our pedagogy in terms of, and I think the graduates will agree with this, it transforms the way they think and how they approach patients and care for them. So this year, the students have selected Dr. Amy Smith. Now, Dr. Smith was actually in the inaugural class of the Hofstra Northwell School of Graduate Nursing. That's what we called it then. And since then has become dual board certified as an adult gero acute care and family nurse practitioner. Dr. Smith returned to our school and has completed her doctorate in nursing practice. She currently cares for the community at Northwell's Go Health urgent care centers, as well as several emergency departments within Northwell. Dr. Smith has been a sexual assault forensic examiner provider since 2009 and has been working with the Hofstra Northwell School of Nursing as the SANE program director to further sexual assault education through a $1.4 million HRSA grant that our school received. While she has received numerous awards throughout her career so far, this is special because she is the first Pearls Faculty Award recipient that actually went through Pearls as a student. So who knows better than what that experience is like. So congratulations, Dr. Smith. Okay, so Dr. Lemp is now going to present the class for 2023 for nursing. So the students will come up. Somebody will show them how to do that. And if any student has any children with them, please bring them up to the stage as well. So wherever they are, you can let them loose and run up.
Doing the oath right after.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, you tell me. Oh, so we're giving you a call. right. I think we should clear the. Nicole Agnone. Take a picture. Julie On. Michael Alilionis. Susanna Asherova and family. Amanda Ashmawi Levin and son. Thank you. Christina Balsano. Stephanie Bond and family. Hold on one sec. Lindsay Bayonne. Emma Baki and son. Jennifer Brule. Caitlin Burks. Morgan Coletta. Grace Couch.
Joseph D'Angelo, and daughter. Taylor DePratt. Andrew Estevez. Amber Fails. Kristen Feudy. Olivia Foy. Stephanie Fung Kao. Nicole Giaquinto. Alexandra Goldman. Thank you. Caitlin Henratty. Jennifer Hartman. Good side. Michelle Kim. Anthony Kujalowicz. Aaron Kublal. Thank you. Lawrence Lau. Alyssa Levine. Susan Liu and family. Thank you, Nick. Nicholas Ladato. Angela Ludeman and family. Megan Lynch. Thank you. Got it. Do you want me to say that? Katie Liver Alvarado. Kayla Matthew. Charlene Matthew. Lauren Mendelson. Christina Moon. Michael Mosca. Amanda Murphy Kales. Kathleen O'Brien. Nicole Oliva and family. Arely Ortiz and family. Morgan O'Shaughnessy. Angelina Palasek. Donna Pisani. Caitlin Rendazzo. Thank you. Rebecca Reinold. Eunice Glee Rolea. Vanessa Saravia Pliva. I got it. Jessica Cicatella.
Without my card, it's Shabazi. I guess sorry.
Great. Pega Shabazi. Amanda Starbucks and
Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah, we like William. Okay. Amanda Staubitz and Ryan. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew Torono and daughter. Thank you. Bila Verno. Dimitri Wilkins. Jacqueline Wilson. Erica Wolf. Huh? Look them up? Yeah, sure. Janet Zimlinghouse and family. And our first graduate of the BSN to DNP program, Dr. Jessica Tucciarone. Okay, I'm going to ask all the nursing graduates to please stand. And we are going to recite the nursing oath. Are you ready? On three. 1, 2, 3. I promise to face challenges and obstacles with courage, strength, compassion, and excellence, and always remember that on the other side of my important work is a human, someone who loves and is loved. I will remain humble, remembering my strengths and the strengths of all disciplines, while embracing the values of leadership, scholarship, collaboration, and humanism. I will continue to challenge the existing norms to achieve high-quality, value-based healthcare outcomes while increasing access to care. I commit to lifelong learning and providing dignity, fostering care by integrating the innovations of nursing science and the art of healing. I will foster scholarship in a culture of excellence, discovery, integration, application, and education, linking scientific discovery to advance global health. I will remain committed to the path of excellence, innovation, discovery, and inquiry, and to developing advanced practice nurses and communities of practice. I will respect diversity and have the courage to lead and positively influence future societal norms. Thank you all.
It is truly my honor to have a special presentation today. I want to thank Dr. Johnson for his words of encouragement and that imposter syndrome, and it did bring back triggers for me of what it was like to be in a community clinic. And I want to reference what Dr. Mineta said about building bridges, about making this world a better place. This is, and you are, our 6th graduating class. You are our COVID class. When you were doing those triggers in September 2020, the world was at the height of a global pandemic. And yet at this school, we had one rock, a builder, Dr. Kathleen Gallo. Today is her birthday. I've had the privilege of the last 6 years of my career of being mentored, guided by, and being by a phenomenal builder, our inaugural dean. And so on today, we've created the Kathy Gallo Award, and I'd like her to come up here because there are better places she could have been on her birthday, like she told you. There are easier schools to have gone to. But this one that she builds life changers, world changers. And you are the fruit of the work that she's had for these 6 years. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud to call her a colleague. So I've said recently that Kathy builds monuments because no one ever said you couldn't do that. And there is not a monument that she can't build. So this award is on behalf of the staff and the faculty for the values of the School of Nursing and PA Studies. And no one epitomizes these values better than Dean Gallo.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, once again, following on Michael's talk about their experience, I want to focus a little bit more on why I call these graduates exemplary and drill down just a little bit on the environment that they were going through while they were also going to school. So I mentioned earlier that these graduates are extraordinary. Now let me explain why. While the perfusion and nursing students may have had different educational and work experiences, one thing for sure that they had in common was caring for patients in a time where so many unknowns and uncertainty about COVID-19 virus was occurring. Now, Northwell Health cared for the most COVID patients in the country, and our students and faculty were right in the middle of those surges, every variant, caring for critically ill patients while putting themselves and families at risk. Our nursing graduates, for example, who are working registered nurses, began their academic journey applying to our program somewhere between March and May of 2020. Now, we'd love to all forget that time period, but I'm going to remind us of a couple of things, just to put it in context where these nurses were. So March 1st, 2020, the first positive case of COVID-19 in New York State was diagnosed. However, there was no reason for undue anxiety, we were told. The general risk remains low in New York State. March 6, 6 cases of COVID-19 are diagnosed in New York State. March 9th, 2020, 14 cases. March 16th, 950 cases. March 22nd, Governor Cuomo put out a directive to close all non-essential businesses statewide. However, we know one business that remained open, healthcare. March 23rd, that's 22 days after the first case was diagnosed, 66,497 cases of COVID-19 in New York State. Now, fast forward to May 4th, 318,953 cases of COVID-19 in New York State, with over 20,000 patients hospitalized. September 30th, and these students were in school a couple of weeks, even though virtually, 458,649 cases in New York State. The number of positive COVID cases in New York State reached almost 1.7 million by March 7th, 2021. Clearly, New York City was the epicenter. Now, I note these statistics because our nursing graduates here today were caring for critically ill COVID patients while attending graduate school. This is why I call them exemplary. We must applaud the resilience and tenacity of our graduates today. What they have accomplished was no easy task. They have successfully completed a very rigorous program on time during a global pandemic. They entered the program during the height of the surge, a time of uncertainty. We had all concerns and questions. They each took a leap of faith to further their careers and become advanced practitioners in a crucial field. They spent time away from family and friends to brave the COVID world with new hybrid curriculums and new challenges. The cardiac perfusion students stayed at clinical sites longer each day to add to their cardiac bypass caseloads. They performed traditional bypass as well as, and you've heard other folks mention it, ECMO, which is extracorporeal mechanical oxygenation, on positive COVID patients or those patients who were suspected of being positive. This was part of their training, but the day-to-day task went beyond the traditional training. Our class evolved as medicine and treatments for patients evolved. Healthcare is dynamic, ever-changing, and pushes the limits of what we know and think we can do. The class of 2023 personifies the modern healthcare clinician and has exceeded traditional expectations. In addition to the cardiac perfusion graduates finishing their master's thesis, numerous projects, and labs, the cardiac perfusion students attended local cardiac meetings, a national perfusion meeting using a mix of in-person and virtual technology. The list goes on and on. But what they have accomplished is a true testimony of their work ethic, their dedication, and their resilience. Now, our nursing graduates were the frontline COVID nurses. These were the nurses that you would see in newspapers, on the news, all gowned up, masked, gloved, etc. Many working in the intensive care units, the emergency departments, and units that were converted very quickly into COVID units, working day and night for their patients. They also served as the family of patients, and since patients' families were restricted from going into the hospitals early on, they were sometimes the last person that the patient saw before passing away. So our nurses who are graduating here today have really done a yeoman's job for society. Working full-time, caring for patients who were suffering from COVID, maintaining their own personal and family responsibilities, and not giving up on their goal to advance their education by preparing for class, completing assignments, taking exams, completing clinical hours, all in the midst of a public health crisis that we have never known before. All of our 2023 graduates are not only hardworking and resilient, but they have an enormous amount of grit. Now you know why I call our graduates extraordinary, because they never gave up, they put their patients first, and they displayed extraordinary courage day in and day out. Now, while COVID is still around, it is no longer the threat that it once was. But this is not how it was when these graduates were going through their academic programs, and we should never forget that. This is a special group of people, and I am proud that they are graduates of our school. Now, I also want to highlight the fact that our faculty of the nursing and perfusion programs, and this is something we pride ourselves on, because not every school can attest to this, they are clinical experts. They too were also caring for COVID patients at Northwell hospitals, in the ICUs, in the emergency departments, and other COVID units. These experienced clinicians showed exemplary courage while never taking their eye off of their responsibility and dedication to their students. So we must applaud the faculty for their outstanding commitment and dedication to our students, their professions, and society. They responded to the all-hands-on-deck call to action without any hesitation. So to all our graduates, we are confident that you will continue to embody our school's values, courage, collaboration, humanism, leadership, innovation, scholarship, diversity, global health, and excellence. You have exemplified courage and humanism at its best and have embraced the commonalities and differences amongst yourselves, your faculty, and the healthcare teams that you have practiced with and have learned from. But remember what your patients and faculty have taught you. And always remember to know what you know and know what you don't know. Always remember that you have an awesome responsibility to your school, to your workplace, and to society at large. I cannot express the amount of pride that the faculty and staff have for you. You are truly extraordinary. So let me close with what John Fitzgerald Kennedy said in a speech given at Rice University in 1962, because I believe it applies to our graduates today. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon this decade and do other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one in which we intend to win. Ladies and gentlemen, those words reflect the spirit and action of the class of 2023. These graduates chose to complete their master's degree and advanced certificates on time during a global pandemic, not because it was easy, but because it was hard, and they were unwilling to give up, and they have succeeded. So thank you to the faculty, staff, as well as family, friends, and everybody here this evening, preceptors, colleagues that have helped you be successful. Nobody is successful in a vacuum. So once again, will the class of 2023 please stand, thank family, friends, colleagues. So I hope you can all take time to celebrate, however, only for today because you need to study for your boards. So students will please proceed out first, and we ask the rest of the audience to wait until they're out, and then the students will have pictures up on the staircase outside, and any other pictures that the family would like to take. Thank you.